Hey guys, we're here today with Rita Parker. She is an eXp agent selling in Manhattan, New York City. And she's going to talk about the transition, what she's seen going on, what she sees happening with eXp Realty in New York City. So stay tuned. We're going to jump right into this interview on Explaining the Cloud podcast. I'll tell you, New York is an interesting real estate market. I know people that I talk to often consistently tell me how different it is. And so maybe you could give us some insight, and maybe during this podcast, we could talk about how that switch was from, because you were at one of the other popular real estate brokerages. How was that transition?
Believe it or not, it was actually a lot easier than I thought. As you mentioned, New York is a different, the real estate market's a little different here. We have brokerages that are smaller, more neighborhood-based brokerages that have been around like through their family, so it's generational. You have, larger firms like Keller Williams, Douglas Elliman, Net Seekers,
Right.
and stuff like that. So they have their thing, but I think when eXp came along, for me, it illustrated a larger trend in real estate going forward, that
Absolutely.
the traditional firms are not going to be where it is anymore. It's slowly going to be, this is a platform. We're basically a platform for you to grow your thing, as opposed to trying to fit in to the status quo of the traditional brokers like Keller Williams or Douglas
Absolutely.
Elliman or Bond, which is common here in New York as well.
Yeah, I saw that one recently. I noticed that. But see, I like that you mentioned, and you said that in kind of our pre-interview, that you consider this a platform. And before we dig too deep into all of that, because it's going to be amazing, I think, the conversation, tell everybody a little bit about yourself. I gave a quick intro. Tell them what you do, where you've been living. Tell them a little more about yourself.
Okay, so my name is Rita Parker. I was born and raised in New York. I did live in other states before I got my license. I lived in Alabama, DC, Virginia, and
Are you in the
Maryland.
South out here by me?
Yeah, actually, I have friends that live in Louisiana,
Nice,
so
very nice.
it's awesome. I Real estate's actually my second full business. I've had one when I was in college. That was pretty awesome, and I wanted to pursue a passion that's been in my family for a while. So, and real estate always helped my family growing up. So I just wanted to do something that I knew would have a larger impact in my community. And I knew that I call my real estate license the ultimate MBA, because basically you can do whatever you want with it as long as you know what the rules and obviously the law of your state or the
Yeah,
federal thing.
absolutely.
But you can really just create your own thing with it. And
You can.
I was originally with Keller Williams. My first brokerage firm was with Keller Williams, and they were fine. I have no real complaints. It's just, I think my goals and my dreams did not match the Keller Williams style. And I needed to be the place that allowed me to have a little bit more autonomy, but still have that group, that community experience. And eXp really filled that for me and my new growing team going forward and my goals. So yeah.
Now, you said some amazing things. Let's break down some of the things you said. Ultimate MBA. It's so true. When I coach my agents, everybody kind of knows I have a real estate team, the Homes and City real estate team, and we're in multiple cities. And then one thing in my coaching moments with all of them, I do talk about, how real estate is a whole new complete education. You have to constantly be learning. I'll tell them time and time again, like, most of the people on my team have college degrees or have been, and I asked them, I said, what did it take to get that degree? And it's all hours and late nights and, study, test classes. And I said, guys, exactly. That's the same amount of energy you need to put into this business. And the fact is, if you don't, it's going to be a lot more hard to be successful. It does open a lot of doors. I can tell you myself, casting platform because of my license. I now, I've pretty much, with Instagram and different marketing, platforms have dominated real estate markets using them. But I can tell you, I wouldn't have learned any of that if it wouldn't have, I wouldn't even dove into it if it wouldn't have been for real estate. just the ability to say, okay, I'm going to market this and learn. It's great. And I want to really emphasize what you keep saying, because that struck a bell with me. It's a platform, it's like a launching pad. And maybe if you could give some insight, when you said you were with another company, it didn't match your style. Maybe break that down for us a little bit.
So I believe in the power of the individual as a support system for the larger group. So I'm a big local to global person. And what I learned from my first brokerage was that you kind of market the brokerage, the broker, and then yourself. So you're the last person people think about. You're not the first. So they really don't know about you till the very end. And the problem with that is you're not really building a relationship with you and the client, or you and another agent. You're really building the relationship for the client and the brokerage firm. So when they talk about you, they're not talking about you. They're saying, well, Keller Williams did this for me. It wasn't Keller Williams who did it. It was me. But you never see that. And I think you and I discussed this before. The world is changing. And you can't do the same model all the time. You can't leverage just the business so you can advance. You can't do it that way anymore. There has to be a little bit more individuality and you have to be genuine. And like I said, eXp to me, how I perceive it, it is a platform. And it's a support platform because you have classes, you have eXp University, you have other agents that you can get tips from. I love the investment and commercial mastermind. That thing is really awesome. And it's an incentive for other agents because once again, they can create their own thing on top of that. So besides the benefits of the stocks and the, profit shares and all that other stuff, you can add on to that. You can build upon that as opposed to, attaching your ideas and your suggestions to someone else's brand. That's not the game here anymore with eXp. It really changes how you approach business and it really allows you to enjoy your license and enjoy what you want to do. I let the passion lead the business and then the money will come. If the client or an agent sees how I feel about what I do for a living and how I live my life, they're going to go, oh my God, she doesn't view it as a job. With my previous brokerage firm, it was a job.
Right. No, it's so true. I'll tell you, I have people right now who ask me, they say, Anthony, do you work?
Exactly.
And it's funny. I mean, legitimately, every day I go right around, do whatever, but the fact, no, I mean, I don't go into an office anymore. One really neat thing is, eXp just launched those, the private team suites, and it's something we're going to do in our next podcast. Yeah. But I implemented that for our team. Absolutely amazing. I could tell you, I think a lot of people have a lot of misinformation about the company in a sense. You said on their support. And I can tell you, Rita, you probably know, and we can, we get overly excited about the support features because this company, there is nothing that matches it. And people, it's funny. It's ironic that people actually use that as a thing. eXp doesn't have support for you. You need to come to the office. I can tell you, if I got one of my team members in right now, like Danielle Lawrence, she just joined my Homes and City team in Dallas, Texas. She was with Berkshire Hathaway for many years. She came in to my eXp where I actually hold my interviews, my agent, interviews for my team inside of eXp World. They come into my team suite. They sit down in front of me. We talk, and Danielle was blown away. Absolutely blown away. She, in the meeting, she said, Anthony, okay, well, tell me this. You're based out of Louisiana, New Orleans. I'm in Dallas, Texas. Who's the broker? I said, great question, Danielle. 2 clicks on the computer, we were in front of the state broker for Texas, and she got our answer. We went back into the, into our meeting for our interview, and she was speechless. She'll tell you that right now. She goes, that's the type of, I challenge anybody that's listening to this podcast. If you're at another company, go try to get in touch with your broker within a second, 2 seconds, 5 seconds, 10 seconds. It'll happen sometimes, but this is consistent support that is unmatched in this business.
Agreed. Especially when something like if you're a newer agent and you're trying to navigate. I'm right now. I have, I think we mentioned this before, the interview, that I have 2 agents right now that are part of like the Genesis Home real estate team, and she kept saying that I I don't know what I'm looking at. I don't know how to do my KV core and stuff like that. But when I showed her how to break everything down, and when I showed her like how to learn how to work KV core and stuff like that, and I told her to have fun with it, play with it. I play with my website all the time. So,
Right.
you know, once she got the hang of it, it was like super easy. And that's the same with another agent. His name is Andre. It's like he because you're not really physically seeing anyone a good chunk of the time. It's mostly visual based. But once they realize that on the other side of that avatar is a person, and it's an actual
actual
the
person,
game,
right?
the game changes. So
it is, and
it gives them a little bit more confidence knowing that being in New York, and then you can talk to someone in California, and you can get advice from someone in another state, and that changes your perspective on how you approach your business.
Right, absolutely, and that's with us too. I mean, with this new office, I can tell you, I've had real estate offices in the business for 12 years, like brick and mortars. When I came to eXp, I got rid of all of them. I'm seeing better engagement, better opportunity to help my agents get better and learn and grow than I did with a brick and mortar. And the reason I say that, for example, if one of my agents called me and said, "Hey, Anthony, I have a problem with my website. Can you show me what needs to be done or how to fix it or what do I need to do?" We would have to drive to the office. I mean, was there a remote desktop and all that fun stuff back then? Absolutely, but nobody did that. You were in the office. You had to be in the office. If you were in appointments, it was all missed. I mean, now, realistically, I say, okay, great, meet me in the office in 10 seconds, 30 seconds. And we're in the office. I pull up my screen. I am showing them exactly what to do within a matter of seconds. I could tell you, Rita, it's funny we say this, and I'm gonna keep going back to the word platform because I never really thought about using that word. But it is. It's a platform there for your success. And again, this collaboration tool that they just implemented with the team suites, I mean, it is a total, like you said earlier, game changer.
It is.
Well, I know we keep talking about the strengths of the things that we know and love. And I can tell you, I know one thing with the podcast, every time I do one, we get almost too excited, because we're so, ecstatic about the company we're with, which is understandable. But tell us a little bit more about, I'd like to hear more about your company, Genesis Home. And then also, after you maybe chat about that, talk about that transition, what it's looking like in New York City for eXp agents.
Oh, I will be more than willing to. So the Genesis Home was established. Okay, so I'm a blunt person, so bear with me when I explain this to you.
That's fine. Absolutely.
It's
big vision, right?
Yeah. So it started at Keller Williams. But the thing is that Keller Williams at the time, my brokerage firm at the time, did not see the potential in it until it kind of grew, and they saw it as a form of lead generation, because clients were coming to me saying, "Rita, I'm not ready to buy yet, but I'm having these concerns." So we kind of converted into a problem-solving situation. After a while, though, and I think you can attest for this, I was getting more clients that I could handle. So, and I was trying to get help from other agents, stuff like that, but they really didn't see the potential in it. So I kept it to myself. It's like, okay, you know what? That's fine. I'm a Yankee. I'm a straight up New Yorker. I'm okay with myself. So what I did was that I set up a system that every client had their own tracker. So if I'm meeting this one for financial services, I'm going with the financial advisor, so she knows that I'm there to have her back, but she can meet and talk to Cullen, who's our financial advisor that we work with at Northwestern Mutual. Then you have, so just so I can keep track, because I'm only one person and there's like 10 people. I can't handle all those people at once. So that's what happened. So after a while, that turned out well. But my brokerage firm I was still butting heads. I was like, they really weren't as supportive as I would like them to be, because this is New York, so it's cutthroat. So if you're not great at this minute, forget it. And I was like, I'm not going to be great at this minute. It's not going to work. I'm not going to force something that's not natural to me. So what ended up happening is I did Genesis Home from home. I worked on it on my own from here, and with Cullen, who's, like I told you, the financial advisor. I would have a couple of agents that will allow me to give them referrals and stuff like that once my client was ready. But that was only the minute they got their referral, they were done. They didn't see what I was trying to do. So it really didn't take off until I came to eXp. Because once I came to eXp, I was able to refer my clients to their destination states, which was at the time
That's a great thing.
One
Absolutely.
to Brooklyn. I know one's in New Jersey right now, and there's a couple of others that are also moving to. I know one is moving to New Orleans, but that's not until 2020. So don't worry, I'll keep you in mind.
We'll
Okay.
definitely talk about it. Could you keep me in
Yeah.
mind? You gotta say
Yeah.
that. Come on now.
Yeah. So I know one is moving to the south, and I know another one is moving
That's
to the
awesome.
Midwest. So we set it so that way, and then at the entire time, because it had that support system, it had that network, and it had the partnership, I was able to address all the larger issues, because now I can get on the phone with an agent and say, just want to give you a heads up, this is what we're doing here in New York. If you're interested, that's great, but I just want to let you know this is the question she's probably going to be asking when she reaches your state or your city. And lo and behold, when I did that, they were a little bit more comfortable talking to an agent because they were confident within themselves.
Right.
And that's how Genesis Home grew. But I still needed people because I couldn't do it by myself. And the beautiful thing with eXp is I was able to merge both of them together, Genesis Home and eXp. So what I did was, okay, this is a great time for me to bring on agents. But I didn't want to do it the traditional route, as we all know, driving sales, focus on productivity. I wanted to know
Absolutely.
what brings that agent to the table, what makes them unique. So I mentioned Andre. He loves restaurants. He's a food and wine guy. I'm okay with that. I am a Chipotle and occasionally Wendy's girl. So that works for Andre. That is what's going to drive Andre's business.
Right.
And there's another person who's interested in design. There's one person that's coming in 2020 whose passion is flipping and actually interior design. That is her thing. And she wants to get her license so she can cut the middleman. I'm okay with everything everyone is saying.
Yep.
So it allowed me to do what I love, which is coaching, which is teaching, which is engagements, which is consulting, which is all the things I really wanted to do and invest. I'm looking at portfolios now. I would have never done that at KW. I would have still been waiting until I'm like hitting my 40s to have this conversation. Now,
it is true.
at 31, I literally have a stack in my house filled with, I don't know, some Vanguard and stuff. So I've never seen it explode this fast, but I can see that there's a difference in how I'm allowed to approach it as an eXp agent versus how I was allowed to approach it as a KW agent. So the transition was awesome.
Absolutely. There's a lot more speed involved in this. You mentioned about like sending business to other, agents across the country and, and now in the world, we're expanding globally.
Yeah, we're in London now. We're in the UK.
The UK was really, so it's really cool stuff. But I can tell you, so when I was at Keller Williams, a chunk of my business, I'm talking 35% was referral based. Which was amazing. It's just like it's a large international brokerage, just like eXp. I was just bigger, and I was the New Orleans guy. Everybody, New Orleans and Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I mean, I pretty much got every referral from another Keller Williams agent coming in. I could tell you, Rita, the part that was interesting was that, and I didn't realize it because I didn't know then, obviously, but how long it took to get paid on that referral.
I know, right?
It has to mail here, process there, go to this account, and the scalability difference of this company. We're one-stop shop.
Exactly.
I just had one in Atlanta. It closed, and 24 hours later, my commission was direct deposited into my account. And I didn't even think about it prior to that. I'm like, wow, typically it's 7 to 14 days.
Yeah, same here.
That's the thing a lot of people, I think, need to recognize. And like you said, you haven't seen something explode like this because of the amazing opportunity. And it is so fast paced. It's on demand, the trainings on demand. It's that instant gratification kind of society and world we live in. And I think if more agents sat back and just listened and kind of saw what we're doing, that piece alone, the referral piece, if I'd have known that 5 years ago, I could tell you there's no doubt. Because there was times when, in the business, you have a bad month and you got 3-4 referral checks coming in. Where the hell are they at? I want to make sure I can pay my bills. Now
exactly.
It's just click, click coming in.
And then not only that you have the service and how quick it is, you're getting so many others, at least 6 ways of generating a revenue
income
just through eXp outside of your agents and referrals and your standard commission stuff. You have investment. You're investing into EXP. You have
Right.
like opportunities to create like a coaching thing. Like I said, I think we've said it like multiple times. I think this is our theme for today. It's a platform. So you get to create, you
Yes.
have one thing and you get to add on to it. So you're not losing that momentum. But you're adding a different flavor to what you think EXP means to you. And
Right.
you're just expanding on that.
It is, because just like my virtual office, I mean, I was going to do today because I've set up one of those offices inside of my team suite in the XP world as a podcast studio. And people look at me like I'm crazy when I say that, but I wanted to get us to meet, but I didn't have it kind of all in order. But my whole entire office now, it's a virtual office again, but it's all branded to Homes and City Team. And it's got different, things. It is, like you said, your flavor. You can put it on it, and it does. It blows people's minds. So tell me about the process. I think it was July, I believe, that eXp actually launched in New York City.
Yes.
I think you came.
I came in August. I applied in July. So I started my process in July, and I didn't really like kick off until August. But it was.
Tell me about that process. How did it go for you?
It really wasn't bad. I mean, obviously it was going to be a little slower because we're still figuring things out.
Right.
And obviously it wasn't, it's not going to be like in 2 minutes or less, you're going to get all this. But
right.
it was really great. I mean, we have Kim and Matt, who are our managing brokers. They were incredibly supportive and informative. They gave great insight. What I do like here in New York, they do have, if you want to like meet other agents, you can do that, like physically meet them. They have a thing by Rockefeller Center, which is 51st Street-ish, Manhattan land, where you can have like little lunch and learns and things like that. So it was really, really easy. It took about a month for everything overall, which makes sense because things take time. I had to get my new license. I had to get a lot of stuff done. So it worked out well. I didn't really see a problem. It was pretty smooth.
About so everybody keeps saying the New York real estate is different. So here's your platform. I want to hear how it's different because I've heard it a number of times. People have told me. Tell us, give us some insight on what everybody means by different.
Okay, so New York Real Estate 101. First of all, you have 5 boroughs, which means 5 different personalities. Okay, so a bit of Rita 101, a bit history. I was raised in Harlem, which is Manhattan, but I was born in the Bronx. So the great thing about that, and I think a bit of an advantage for me, is that I still am a bit rough around the edges, but I can still, Manhattan's a little more formal. So
right.
There, I can still go and do the gala thing and all this other stuff, but I still keep my, I'm a little rough around the edges, so I get to, still hang out with like everyone else and still be me. So I'm pretty solid on that. But New York real estate is cutthroat. They focus more on the money and the look, less on the substance. And that sounds really cruel to say that about a city that I love. Okay, I'm a 4th generation New Yorker and I love my city, but it's really the reverse when it comes to real estate in Manhattan. It's more about the look and how this look makes you look. Brooklyn and Queens are more known for family.
Right.
So they'll go to their family brokerages before they'll go to anyone else. It is increasingly rare to see, Compass or eXp or anything like that, unless that person went to church with that person or they babysat their nephew when they were 16. It is really complicated.
Are you seeing more of that, like you said, in Brooklyn? Because I was actually speaking with an agent in Brooklyn. They are with a smaller company, and that was their big hang up. It was that, I don't think I'd even be able to continue business if I did this.
My advice to people in Brooklyn is stop trying, and this is what I've noticed with other agents in Brooklyn, they do well if they stop trying to force the issue. If they keep it within their family and their neighborhood and stuff like that, it makes it a lot easier for them to grow. But if you're trying to be like super agent in Brooklyn, they're going to look at you like you lost your mind. Because Brooklyn and Queens, they're similar. They're family based. Okay, so if you hang out in the community center, you're gonna have a better shot at getting clients at the community center than you do if you're actually going to a lunch and learn thing with other agents.
That's what I tried to get, agents to realize a lot. Okay. And because some people are hung up on the brand, they'll
Right.
say EXP, what's that mean? Oh, logo. And you mentioned this where, you are the brand. You can,
Yeah,
this company allows you. I mean, like my Homes and City team, yes, I have to put EXP on my sign and put broker
exactly.
by EXP.
Obviously.
People look at me all the time and, we spend a substantial amount of time on our branding and they're like, the aesthetic is amazing. We love the colors. And people don't even know. It was like that with Keller for me. I had the Zet group back then, and for my last name, I always wanted to change it up because the Zet meant nothing, in New York or Chicago. So I went with a localized type brand. But the thing is, it can be done. I think there's a huge limiting belief. You come in there, if you meet people, like you said, if you try to force feed them that you're the greatest real estate agent in the world and you're throwing all these crazy facts out. If you go in there, like you said, community center, restaurants, coffee shops, meet people, they're going to ask you, what do you do?
I tell them, and this is the best advice. If I can give anyone EXP, if I'm allowed to do this on here, but I'm going to do it anyway.
Do it.
If I'm allowed to give anyone EXP advice, and this is going to sound really odd, treat EXP kind of like Instagram. I know it sounds really weird to say that. I am a millennial.
I want to hear this one now.
I was raised by a boomer. I am very big on family. I have a big old family myself. But if you want to explain EXP, the best way to explain it is to explain Instagram. And why do I say that? Because Instagram does something amazing. Instagram does not market Instagram. Have you noticed they don't have like advertising for Instagram or anything like that? No, but you have Kylie Jenner and her thing. You have Kim Kardashian. You have the influencers. The influencers get you to Instagram. Correct. The influencers get you there because they're building their brand on that platform. So I often look at agents and they say, well, EXP is this and this and this, but how do I stop thinking of it as EXP is your business? Your business is whatever you want it to be. It's your brand. EXP is just your cheerleader. Like Instagram is just the support system to get you to sell your shoes. I don't know. Okay. I'm not a fashionista. Right. I'm working with what I got. Okay. So
your Wendy's chicken sandwich.
Ooh, that sounds good right now. But yeah.
No, right, I'm hungry. I haven't eaten lunch yet either.
A Wendy's chicken sandwich. Who are you as a person that makes that work? Just like Instagram. If you go on my Instagram page, I am big on motivation, but I'm also big on facts. I like when people see an opportunity and how that opportunity works in the long run. They may look at a dilapidated house, but I see rental units. So it's how you market not the EXP, but your personality and what drives you. The passion drives the business, not EXP. And that's really the conflict that we face as EXP agents, not just in New York, but I've also heard it in other states, that the first thing we think about is the brokerage firm. We don't have to do that anymore. We can literally do whatever we want. The first thing I market before I mention my name at all is Genesis. I mention the Genesis home before I even mention my name, because I want people to know that my thing is about community. And if they feel more inclined to work with others and they feel that they're part of a support team in the community, then I'll slide in EXP and why I'm an EXP agent. But that is like conversation number 10 out of all of them. And that's because it's about Genesis and me.
That's an amazing concept. I like that. Everybody knows I'm a big Instagram guy. And I'll tell you, I've told the story and I love what you did. I just took a ton of notes conversation because I said this with, for example, with Instagram, City of New Orleans. So the way that I got started with Instagram is that I actually started a random food account. Like you said, one of your agents is a foodie. Well, I'm the same way in New Orleans. We're the best food city in the country outside of New York.
Okay? Here.
But with that, what I did, I started this Instagram account called, it was and it really came, to be honest, my life has revolved around real estate nonstop 24/7, And my real estate coach at the time said, Anthony, you need to get a hobby. And I'm like, what the hell is that? What do you mean a hobby? I sell real estate. That's my hobby. And then people, funny enough, Rita, people tell me that all the time. I coach them, say, guys, what's your hobby? Oh, no, selling houses, looking at houses is my hobby. So long story short, I started this random Instagram account. Well, it exploded in the city of New Orleans. It went from, no followers to, I think I got 149,000 followers on this account right now. The funny part about it is I've seen that transition you just said. So in New Orleans, I don't know how New York was, but it was always about the restaurants. We have Commander's Palace, we got Antoine's, we got Arnaud's. You guys may have heard of some of these world famous restaurants that we have, and it was always about the restaurant. And recently, in the last, I'd say 5 years, our whole culture or culinary culture in New Orleans has shifted from about the restaurants to the chefs. Now, like growing up, I didn't know who the hell the chef was for Commander's Palace. And now if you look like Tori McFadden, Tori's a bigger brand than this Palace now. I could tell you that's from Instagram. 1,000,000%. And that's amazing. You tied those two together. And I think we could look at it. And that was a big shift for me with my real estate business. When I realized, oh wow, I can influence, because I got invited. I mean, with that food account, it's crazy. I used to get invited to these events. Like, they looked at me as like some culinary judge. Absolutely crazy. But that was a big eye-opening thing for me. I was able to, like you said, influence a market. I've shifted that learning experience, like you said, using this platform. I now get the Homes and City team in New York City, Dallas, New Orleans, Louisiana, Baton Rouge, all on the same platform, and be able to influence markets like that. Rita, that was amazing. I love this conversation. You don't advertise, and it influences get you there, and the dynamic changes.
And the cool thing is, I've noticed that with and I think you with Keller Williams as well. I see the the difference in my marketing since I joined eXp. I have no marketing. I don't have a marketing budget with eXp.
I don't pay for marketing. That's
I
went from Keller. Me too. Nothing. Zero. I mean, people ask. I had an agent trying to join my team the other day, and they said, "What's your marketing budget?" And I said, "Zero."
None.
And they looked at me like, "What? I'm not joining a team that doesn't spend marketing on money on marketing." I said, "Great, don't join a team. I'm not begging you to join my team. Let's make sure we're very clear." The fact is, I don't have to.
Right.
I mean, back to social media.
Right.
Push.
And it's not just with social media. It's just that you get to incorporate your life a little bit differently.
Correct. Absolutely.
I am a huge music fan. Okay. And there's these things here in New York called, they're very common. They're in the opera and classical music season, but there's this thing called a prom. And proms are like scores, like they play the scores of a movie. And I think that's the coolest thing ever. So a couple years ago, they did a Doctor Who one. And when I was with Keller Williams, I could never talk about the Doctor Who prom because it didn't fit the Keller Williams thing. All of a sudden, I'm on the phone with somebody and they're saying, "Rita, where are you?" "I'm in a dress and I'm on my way to the prom." They honestly thought it was a formal thing. So I had to post a photo of what I was talking about. But they got interested because they wanted to know if that's happening at Lincoln Center. I said, yeah. Very nice. The great thing with Andre and his love of food is that he incorporates the neighborhood into it. So, and he also does food history. So So when people go on his page, they go, "Wow, that's what's happening there." And he doesn't pick like the mainstream stuff. He picks a lot of hole in the wall places because he thinks they don't get enough respect. So he on purpose finds places that I would never think of. He will go in there, try out food, and say, "Oh my God, this stuff is delicious." And he'll mention it.
Crazy.
And he'll talk about the neighborhood. He'll talk about what's going on over there. And then someone will look at it. Will look at the hole in the wall place. They'll eat their food and be like, "This neighborhood's not half bad. Let's take a look." And they'll find out who did it. And it's Andre, who's an agent.
That's awesome. And that's so true. That's where I think the diversity or the where your business can go. And one thing you said earlier too, and it's not a Keller Williams. I know we said that a few times. It's really any real estate company thing. It's when you have a broker who is truly looming over you and their brand is more important than you. I see it so much. They're like, "Oh no, Anthony, I don't think you should do that." Whereas look, here at eXp, we have a broker, but they are detached. I tell people all the time, look, if you truly do not have an entrepreneurial mindset or a thought process, or you're intrigued by entrepreneurism, don't come to this company.
Agreed.
Because it's not a handheld.
And for the record, Andre's in Brooklyn. So I want to let people know that, when people talk about the struggling thing in real estate, part of the reason why I think Andre's going to do really well going forward, even though this is his first brokerage firm, reason why he's going to do so well going forward is because he's focusing on the things that drive him to get his license, which is real estate. And also he wants to open his he wants to do a restaurant thing someday. So these are things that he incorporates into it. And he's out in Brooklyn. He covers Brooklyn and Queens. So that can tell you something about how he approaches it versus super agent.
Yeah. Well, Rita, my hobby, that eating Nola thing I told you, you know how many houses I've sold to chefs, restaurants I've got into, into properties. So it is like, I can't remember the exact same. I mess it up always in that, they say never truly, the people say follow your passion. Okay. Mm-hmm. But I'll tell you, I've read a lot into this, and they say, if you follow your passion, sometimes you're going to be broke and it may not lead to this, but they say convert what you're doing into your passion. Like, it's skilled enough, set, just like right now you listen to us. We're talking about eXp Realty. It's technically our job, but we're so passionate about it. We're helping so many people, doing so many cool things that we feel like we're not even working.
Right, but it's our job to tell you, but it's not our job to care. Correct. It's not our job to be supporters of our community. That we can do for free, and we enjoy it. So the reason why we're so passionate about the firm, or passionate about where we're part of, is because we have that freedom to do that now.
It all ties in too. It really does. Exactly. Like I said, I did this Instagram. It networked me with a whole different slew of people, and then now I have a whole other business model from it. And it's great because there's so many different types. That's the reason for me branding my team, the Homes and City team.
Right.
Because I just didn't want to shove real estate down people's throat. We've done that for years. And I tell you, it's opened up such a diverse marketing potential and opportunity to be in front of people. Like you said, he's going to these hole-in-the-wall restaurants. He's giving them exposure they may not have. They're going to love him forever. And exactly. I have one. It's called K Rico Cuban Cafe. Donna, she had a small Cuban restaurant in Slidell, Louisiana. Absolutely amazing Cuban food. Okay. And I went and ate there. I eat there often. And she noticed me from my Instagram account. Long story short, we became friends. She had a problem with her lease. Guess who she called to get her new restaurant in New Orleans on Magazine Street?
There you go.
All from that. And the cool part about it, I love being able to help people. I mean, these guys, they went from, in Slidell, Louisiana, it's a small community outside of New Orleans. They were lucky to do, I'm probably wrong. You could actually go and have a podcast that speaks to her for the Eating Nola thing, but they might've been doing $1,000 a day in volume on sales. In New Orleans, they're doing $5,000 to $10,000 a day.
That's beautiful.
And that's the opportunities. Like I said, you can't align it directly with what we're doing here, but it does open up so many opportunities.
It's a ripple effect. Right.
Absolutely.
And it's a ripple effect. You have to think, even if, let's just say, it was just something simple as a comment, you don't know what that comment may translate into for that business. And that's why I think even in this day and age, social media is becoming a little bit more important, because we are learning slowly how people can drive a community.
Correct. No, so
and
true. So true.
If you keep forcing, I mean, obviously you and I were both taught how to, cold call, door knock and all that other stuff. But to a point, it stops becoming fun. It starts becoming a job. How do you?
Very much so.
Right. And I have no problem with cold calling. It's not my thing in this city because it's a weird situation if you do that. But it's not really how I want to be known. And that's really the important part is when you're not around, my mom used to say this all the time, when I am not around you, who are you? And when I am not around, the other agents, or when I'm not, around my friends, I want them to know that I'm someone that has some form of integrity, that understands that, everything's a process. Rome wasn't built in a day. So I try to design my real estate business, and I try to design, Genesis Home in a manner that fits that process. And if you want to encourage investment in your community, you cannot force things down their throat. If I wanted to be a salesperson, I could be a salesperson. I got a retail background. I can do it.
Right.
It's just not right, but it's not that's not a business to me. That's just another, that's just, to me, that's just having another, it's no different than me selling watches at Fossil. If I want to build a business, something that sustains me when I'm bored and I want to go on a cruise,
Right.
I need to think long term. I need to think more about the investment and development and growth of something and not the survival. And that's what Genesis Home does for me, the agents, my support team, and from our clients. They always have a home. They always know that they can grow from with us. And that's the important part.
That's amazing. It is. It's a helping people type environment, and that's what I do. A big piece of eXp Realty, where again, I hate to keep saying it, but at Keller, there was opportunity to help people for sure, by bringing them into your team and working with them. But the profit share model wasn't sustainable for me, and so from some people it is. Even like you said, to even branch out into other markets and do that, it just wasn't here. I mean, the model, it works so well for what I do. To help people. And I got people across the country right now that I'm helping, and I'm fully invested, or vested, I should say, into their real estate business and career because of that. It's truly amazing.
And your role changes. Haven't you noticed that though? Like, even though I have this team now, and I've never been so happy to say that sentence. I don't know why, but I love it. I have a team now. But your role, right? But your role, haven't you noticed that your role changes as well? You're not so much as a heavy-handed person when it comes to growing. You're more of a nurturer. You're more of like, you're an educator now. You're focused. Even you said it. You focus on like trying to find people to add on to it, but you're also making sure you're nurturing the ones you have. And I love that part.
My big thing was, it's not about me anymore.
I know, isn't it cool?
Sorry. It's so true. I mean, like I said, my team at Keller Williams was the Dezette Group. It was about me. I had the name and the lights. I had the signs on the, on the highways. I had the radio ads running on in the radio in the car. And now I don't do that. I went with more an informal name that's more nationally branded. But I tell my team, I don't even put their production, I don't put under me. It goes, I love that eXp allows us to balance it, like the team total production, but it's their production. It's not Anthony Dezette has sold everything.
Exactly.
And I truly, when you say roles have changed and you say nurturing, it's true. And I never really, it was one thing that's been happening to me where I just made that change. Maybe didn't even take notice about it, but I know that's a big part of it. It's allowed me to be able to go, okay, guys, it's not about me. It's about y'all.
Let me give you, really cool right. So here's what's really cool. And I really want to mention this. I think I texted to you. Starting 2020, there's 3 things that are going to happen. We're going to have a 50-50 program, which partners up agents for them to work on listings together. So they get to learn from each other, play off each other. And especially if they're in the same state or in the same, in my case, city, it makes it easier because they can, especially for the newer agents, they get to learn. But we're also expanding how we teach people. So part of that is we're doing more on financial empowerment. I know the common word is financial literacy. I think if you're educated, if you learn knowledge, of course you're going to be literate, but you're also going to be empowered to look at your pocket differently, to look how you view your future differently, especially if you're a millennial, which I am. So we're going to be doing more in community outreach and, education, and not just for real estate and finance, but what does your license mean? Because like we just discussed in the beginning, New York is totally different. New York is not like, DC, where it's a little bit more political, because DC is technically largely managed by a federal budget. New York is not, but New York is a little bit more aggressive in how they get listings. New York's a little bit more aggressive when it comes to tourism, which is one of our largest industries in this state. So when you're a new agent, you're overwhelmed. When you're, living in an apartment with like your husband and 2 kids, you're overwhelmed about how to just go on the search and what you're looking at. So what we're doing, exactly. So what we're doing is incorporating more education into Genesis Home and focusing more on that empowerment. How do we encourage it? That's why we're going to have the Genesis family, which is going to be on our subscription service. And it's going to be little projects and stuff to do with your kids and stuff like that. So, how to save, what does a budget mean? Because I don't know, and I'm learning that not everyone discusses money in the family. Not everyone has that conversation. So having those little projects maybe make you feel comfortable knowing that you can do this with your child, or what you can do this as a couple. Because these are questions that you're going to have to come up and have the conversation with going forward anyway, and at least lay the foundation for yourself and at least have that. And you also have the conversation with other agents, so they can actually message other agents on our subscription service and
Very
other
good.
support people. We have an HR guy on there. He's awesome. If I can tell you, that man is awesome. I have never tell you how many times that he has edited a resume, because sometimes we get resumes and we're just looking at going, what? So he's really fantastic. And having the HR support, especially since he's so culture based, really makes the client and the agent feel comfortable and empowered to ask questions that normally they would never ask, especially in places like New York and California.
You get lost in the shuffle. There's no doubt. I mean, the bigger the city, the more chaos, and that's amazing. You have a service like that to help them. And I can tell you, Rita and I, the reason we're doing this podcast, because she followed, the Explaining the Cloud Instagram account. So you guys definitely, if you get a chance, go check out the account. She's been a fan for I think since we kind of started it.
Since you kind of started, but also I've been a fan of eXp for a while.
Absolutely. No doubt. Well, tell everybody how they can find you now. You have so many great services, and guys, if you didn't listen to her excitement, her enthusiasm about what she's doing, and then she just mentioned she has a service that could help you in the process if you're lost or confused. Tell them how they can reach out to you, Rita.
You can also always reach me at the Genesis Home on Instagram. Yep. So that's one. My personal one is obviously Rita Anthony Parker on Instagram. So
cool middle name, by the way.
I know, right? Anyway, so that's pretty good. I'm also on LinkedIn. My name does not change on LinkedIn. So if you have any question or anything, the great thing about the Genesis Home, though, it's not restricted to New York City. So we've had people from other states that we're working with as well. And so that's why the subscription service is so important to us, because it allows us to reach out past New York state lines and learn about what everyone else is going through. And we're getting a lot of people who are interested, especially out in California, because of, I think it's the worst kept secret now between New York and California that we do have a homeless issue. So what we do now as agents, myself, and there's a counterpart that I work with when I was at KW, I now work with him now with eXp. He helps, he assesses homeless services. So sometimes he volunteers from time to time and sees what's going on, and maybe he can help them with their financial planning. So that way they're no longer homeless, and they're going from homeless to a house as opposed to homeless to an apartment. So, that's awesome. But yeah, we're busy.
Well, I'll tell you, some of those services and the things you should definitely look at them. And guys, again, the next podcast is going to be about this, but that team suite, I mean, look, really, you got stuff, and you should talk with them. You haven't already, because the team suite, you could almost bring those people into different services. And how cool would that to be? Because for Bella, the company that has created eXp World, it's actually a service that you can buy to outside of even eXp. And I tell you, I think that opportunity for a virtual office and people collaborating across the country all in one place. And I don't know if you saw the announcement the other day, but Stanford University has just launched Verbella. They have their Stanford World now.
Exactly. Yes, they do. And I also read that Harvard and Yale are thinking about it as well, because the times are changing. Not everyone's going into a classroom anymore. A lot of people are going online. Did you hear that they're saying, I think I read this in The Economist a while ago, that the schools for MBAs, they're shutting down the physical buildings now, and they're just focusing largely on the online platforms.
It's so, when you have a university like that you spend a lot of money to go to, has incorporated this type of model. And then when you hear other people say, oh, wow, they don't have education, they don't have support. Guys, the writing's on the wall. And so if you guys are thinking anything about this company or, really want to see more, again, Rita just gave you her contact info. If you guys are out anywhere in the country and want to, talk to her about the company, the same too, you can check us out on Explain the Cloud on Instagram. And Rita, this was amazing. Anything last words you want to kind of say or tell everybody?
If I can give anyone advice from a college student to other college students, try to really think of a skill set and let that drive you. Because the great thing about a degree, I do love my degree. Don't get me wrong. I worked really hard for it. But in the world we live in today, it's really what you bring to the table and what makes you unique. And I have more fun talking to a plumber than I do talking to someone with a liberal arts degree. So
engineer.
right. So think about what you want to do and see if you can find like a license or something that can support that before you graduate. Because while you're still there, learn as much as you can and take that opportunity.
Yeah, great advice. Well, good deal. Well, it's been amazing speaking with you, and we'll definitely keep in touch. Hey guys, thank you again for supporting Explaining the Cloud, our EXP-based podcast. It's been amazing growth. Just want to reiterate again that we are growing really quickly. I appreciate everybody who's downloading, subscribing. And look, if you got some value from this, we have a lot more coming, and I don't want you to miss out on some of these great podcasts and some of these great agents that I'm going to be interviewing. So make sure you subscribe. Make sure you please download those episodes so when you're flying on an airplane, you can listen to them. And also make sure you share for us. I'd love for you to share with people the opportunity that we have here. And the more people that see it, the more people that hear it. So thank you again. Have a good one.